Well, we finally got done with this seat. The weather didn't cooperate for a few days, and we finally get a day now we're going to be able to test the seat out, and it's hopefully going to stay sunny. Anytime I make a new part for a bike, especially if it's for my own bike, I prefer to go on at least a 100-mile ride. Check it out, see if I need to adjust anything. Now on this seat, of course, we have a lot of ability to adjust things. That's one of the things. We can move it up, we can move it down. We have a lot of things we can do here. And I'm very, very prone to want to have a comfortable seat and bars that fit me. So what happened is the way the day played out, and I wanted to get a hold of Larry. Larry was available today, didn't have to work. And I thought maybe I had heard a rumor that the TRIUMPH Club was going to be up on the top of Perkins. I wanted to see Luciano's latest projects. He's got some cool projects going on over in his shop. So we combined all 4 of those, or 7 of them, or 12, or whatever there are. Try to do them all in one ride. And while I was waiting for Larry, I shot a couple of pictures of the bike from various angles. Took a picture. Now we're going to have our, it's actually going to start next week. I'm going to have to start mowing grasses and trimming hedges, and Karen's going to be doing some of her landscaping and putting up potted flowers and whatever, but that's all coming next week. Now, when Larry got here, the sun went behind the clouds, and I thought, ooh, this time of year, that's not a good omen. We always would like to see the sun stay out the whole day, but anyway, we have to go to war with the army we have, and Luciano decided he's going to ride his RD. So whenever we have the 2 RDs together, for Luciano and I, it's really a special time. We really are. And when we had Ray up here with Tim's RD, which just won that big trophy down in Florida, it's just a ton of fun riding these little bikes. And they really are good at carving up the roads up to Bear Mountain. Now, of course, Luciano's is a little bit more reworked than mine is. But one of the things I haven't really done yet, and Kenny, who did the work on the heads, wanted me to do a good 100-mile ride with a lot of wide open throttle stuff. Today was not going to be the day to do it because the roads were soaking wet. And Luciano still got the big GS gas tank on there that I painted for him. And actually, we're going to run out of yellow paint here one of these days. But now Larry is in for a treat. He's never ridden an RD, so we're going to hopefully, in the next couple days, I don't know, and I don't know again on Luciano's. Luciano and I both don't like to ride the same bike 2 days in a row, so we kind of play it by ear, and I usually let him make the decision. He's the senior partner at L&W Racing. He holds the checkbook. So, but I'm Kenny Roberts, so there you go. Anyway, several people have seen this part already and thought it looked pretty cool, but it's all in the eye of the beholder anyway. And it's all in the eye of Kenny Roberts. Now, this is the latest project that Luciano's working on. It's a 1000cc Ninja. I think it's an 80s, but I'm not sure what year. It may be 82 or 84 or something. It's old like my GS is. And what happened, he had the starter gear went bad on this. And to replace the starter gear, you basically have to split the cases of the engine. So luckily he had a spare engine, which is what I need for my donor bike GS, is a nice donor 1100 GS engine. So if somebody out there knows somebody that wrecked a GS and drove into the back of a wall and the engine is still in one piece, I'm very interested. And Pokey promised me he would find me an engine. He promised. He swore on a Bible I would have an engine by November. So Pokey, we're going to hold you to that too. Anyway, so we did a little, he was showing Larry what a pain in the ass it was to change this engine, and I can imagine, especially when you buy yourself. These engines are almost 200 pounds, so, and it's really not a convenient thing to have to do it when you buy yourself. Luckily, Luciano is one of the few people in the world that has 4 arms, 7 legs, and he can do this kind of stuff. But now I also wanted to see, and this is the other RD, which obviously is still being worked on. This is a track bike RD, And he's got, I made some carbon fiber parts for this. I painted it and whatever. Ray donated the frame. I think Ray donated the motor too, basically the motor. But it's a Franken bike. It's put together from parts, and he's doing a nice job on it. Now, one of the things I was curious about, and I'll report how this works out. Luciano found this header paint, this real shiny black header paint, and I was real disappointed with some of the paint that I bought that was guaranteed not to chip and peel, and did. And so I'm looking forward to seeing how this holds up, and if it does, of course, when it comes time to do. Anytime I have an exhaust system off a bike, like on the FZR or something, I'd like to put a fresh coat of paint on it. Some of the other random tanks and parts and fairings and things that are just laying around. Now, these are the flat slide carburetors he's got on here. And he's got this really cool throttle, and I mean, it is an ultra quick. This is what I call quick. It's probably 12 o'clock to 2 o'clock to wide open. This is like a GP throttle. Something I was interested in too is, here's the other engine that came out of the Ninja, and we were laughing. Larry's a pretty strong guy, but I said, why don't you go over and pick that up? Pick it up by the spark plug caps. And some of the other parts that go onto that bike. Now, we found another cool thing, and on the new track bike, the 750 Ninja that I just got, it has this same Vance and Hines exhaust. And Luciano wanted to show me, here's the baffle that I have, and this is Luciano's replacement high-performance baffle. So we're going to swap that out the next time. What's going to happen, Luciano's going to a track day on May 8th, and he's going to take my bike. I can't go, it's a babysitting day I'm committed into. But he's going to take it and then try those baffles, and try the tight one and the big open one, and see if it still runs, or if it runs any better or worse or whatever. Now, if you look at the sky from this point on, you can tell this day went down the drain real quick. And we were thinking it may even get worse, but it was not a real sunny day about 2 hours into it. But anytime you can live your childhood over, it's worth doing. And when these two bikes, when we're riding them together, it's like a magic thing that happens. I don't know how to explain it to people that have never experienced it. But anyway, while we were there, the Triumph Club came down, and we know some of these fellas, and they were having some kind of an informal get-together. But I always like to look at Triumphs are, unique in their own right, and have the modern ones and the old ones. And Luciano works on a lot of these type of bikes, and they always seem to have some cool cafe. This one's got a nice, kind of a nice cafe seat. And I'm trying to look at, like everyone's different. I'll give them credit for that. They're not like, like some bikes that you see that they're all basically the same. These are really a nice collection of bikes. The guys are real friendly. We got to talk to a whole bunch of the guys. They all seem really into their Triumph thing, which obviously it's hard not to like them. And this one had really nice gold wheels. I was looking at the gold, trying to figure out if this was powder coated or paint. It really doesn't matter, because I really prefer paint, period. And I finally got to see one of these in real life. This has some pretty unique paint. Now, the Guzzi has this. You can buy a Grizzo that has this type of paint. I don't know how to describe it. It's like a flat, glow from within army color. I don't know what Steve McQueen would think it is, but this was pretty cool. It had black rims, had the old fork boots that, and I looked at this for just some general. The paint is really unusual. Now, it's not my cup of tea, but maybe someday it will be. But anyway, another one that has some nice custom parts. Some of the more modern ones, the triples. And when these guys are up the mountain, they got a nice eclectic group of bikes. This guy had some nice frame sliders. Luciano was looking at the frame sliders. Look at the scoop on the side of the seat here. That's kind of unique. I never noticed that before. And this is one of the paint colors I told Luciano he should paint one of his bikes. I like that metallic Kawasaki. Now, this is Pokey. There was a young lady riding this bike, and some of the guys that were there were telling me that she bought this bike, she sat on it, and she said, I gotta have it, I love it. She's been riding it ever since, and it's our favorite bike. And I didn't get any pictures of her, I couldn't tell which one she was, but when I looked at this real close, this is kind of a cool bike. And it was a lot of, I know Pokey loves these things, but now I had an older one, the one that came before the Le Mans, and I really didn't care for it. It just didn't float my boat at the time, I guess. I don't know. I was into RDs back then and H1s. But this one certainly has that rear section with the number plates is kind of retro. And after looking at that baffle in the exhaust, I was looking at this. I'll bet you could put your pinky in the end of that exhaust pipe and choke the motor. They are really quiet. Anyway, what I wanted to do is I wanted to wait until these guys actually left. And so what I did, we hung out for a little while, but basically the day was getting cloudier and cloudier. It looked like it wasn't going to hang in there either. And then Larry had a little issue at home he had to take care of, personal stuff. So I figured I'd just run the whole gauntlet here of the Triumph guys. There was a couple of unique seats that I looked at. Again, the nice thing about the Triumphs, you almost never see two that are the same. The guys have enough, I guess they make enough custom parts, bling parts and cafe parts. And the modern ones, of course, are styled real nice. Now at the end of this, I wanted to hear them all go, because Triumphs, of course, have a unique sound, a nice sound in my opinion. And when you have 30 or 40 of them or whatever, all running at the same time and all revving up the engine. Now this guy had a unique seat. This looked like it was aluminum or steel or what, I don't really know. And we had some of the guys that were looking at the RDs. There was an Oriental guy, Asian guy, that was taking pictures with what looked like a real professional camera and was talking about his RD. I looked at this little fly screen. I was wondering, somewhere down the road I might want to put one of these on one of the bikes. And he said I can't remember where he said he got this, but he said it was like cheap. And, well, it doesn't matter. Luciano finds all this stuff online anyway. But these little fly screens, that might look nice on an RD. I don't know. Get a little look at the fly screen. And the last thing here is basically the Triumphs and the one Guzzi all left. And that was the end of our test day, which I'm not so sure how it played out.
Here's the green one I like. That green one is nice. Look at the camera on a helmet. That looks cool. Ride safe, guys.